Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to begin the funeral services of Mrs. Gloria Goldblatt Gershkoff. We welcome those of you who are online. The family appreciates your presence. Officiating is Rabbi Evan Moffick and Rabbi Isaac Serrata from Macomb Solel Lakeside in Highland Park. This time, the rabbi is going to perform the ancient ceremony of Kriya. If I could kindly ask his two daughters to please rise.
In ancient times, upon hearing of the death of a loved one, people would literally tear their garments, a sign of the eternal terror and experience. So we model that practice today by wearing and carrying a black ribbon. If you could repeat after me, Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Vayam, Ahemet. For the two eternal God. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey. From childhood to maturity, and youth to age, from innocence to awareness, and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom. From weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness, and back we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat, to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. These words, which were penned by Rabbi Alvin Fine, really express the Jewish philosophy of life and of death. And they tell us that we come here in grief, but we also come here as much as we can with a measure of gratefulness. Grateful that God blessed the world with the life of Gloria Goldblatt Gershkoff. Our Jewish funeral service is fairly simple. It consists of some readings, some psalms, some reflections, and concludes with the Elmo Le Rachamim prayer. We'll continue now with the 23rd Psalm as Rabbi Ike Serrata leads us.
It is a custom to read from our sacred scriptures. So we read the 23rd Psalm, which is probably the most famous poem in the world. It's famous because it's beautiful. It's famous because it's universal. And it's famous because it tells of how God is with us in times of sorrow. It reminds us that it's the experience of every human being to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And the word that's there that says through is the one I would call your attention to. That we can't avoid the valley, we can't jump over it or go around it, we go through it. But through suggests that we get to the other side, that there is another side to the valley, and we come out of the valley of the shadow. It's also notoriously difficult to translate the 23rd Psalm, particularly in these times when we want things to be gender neutral, because it starts in third person, God who is distant, and then it changes. When we talk about, I go through the valley of the shadow of death, God is with me. It changes to second person, God is right there. So particularly at moments when we lose those we love, that's when God can be close at hand, nearby, to give that hug that we can't give in times of pandemic. So may you all feel God's embrace for you today. The words are in translation on the brochure if you'd like to join me in reading these ancient words. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
At the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember Gloria Gershkoff, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. As long as we live, Gloria too shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. I'd now like to invite up Amy and then maybe Ashley to share some memories.
Alan, Michael, Barbara, and I would like to say a few words about our mom. Who was Gloria Seidman? Who was Gloria Goldblatt? Who was Gloria Gershkoff? What was so special about her? What was the essence of this beautiful 93-year-old mother, aunt, grandmother, and great-grandmother of 17? She sparkled. She was the sun, and the rest of us circled about her, absorbing her wisdom, her love, and her joy of living and of life itself. Each of our individual qualities, which we all seem to share, kindness, awareness, care for others, resilience, perseverance, and a moral compass, come from the values she instilled in us. Her brilliance was with people, always there for a connection, a laugh, a smile, a kind word, and a natural empathy. She was a loving force, a living example of what we could do, of what we could be. She didn't only stand out, she shined in a room as a beacon of light. We felt engaged, heard, and valued in her presence. And above all else, family was near and dear to her heart, making each of us feel not only her love, but her acceptance of our differences. She was our champion and our friend, a champion for each child, grandchild, and great-grandchild. We feel an immense sense of gratitude to God for giving us this amazing and loving person. And though we will miss her dearly, she will always live in our hearts. Thank you, Mom, for guiding us to always be the best version of ourselves. We love you dearly.
I wasn't going to say a formal anything, mostly because my grandma really did not like formal eulogies, and a celebration of life was so much more important to her. And so we'll have a celebration of life tonight on Zoom. If anybody wants to join, let me know the link. Mostly, I'm just so grateful that I get to close the last day of my 39th year, saying goodbye to my grandma. My birthday's tomorrow. And my Musar class knows this on Friday, that we were so lucky that I was able to FaceTime with her 20 minutes before she passed away. And my daughter, Molly, was able to say some prayers of healing and of inviting the angels in before her death, and also saying the Shema prayer with her. And we just feel so grateful that we had that moment, and that when I was crying too much to say the prayers myself, that Molly was able to come and do them with me. And in honor of our grandma, our Gigi, Sophie got her hair cut yesterday and blow dried it straight, and Molly combs all the way through her hair. And if you know Molly, that's a pretty big accomplishment. So the girls are all celebrating, and boys, everyone's celebrating Gigi today, and we're so grateful for her. And yeah, very, very blessed to have such an amazing matriarch for all of these years. We love you.
What a gift to have almost 39 years with a grandmother. It's truly a gift. You know, there's a Torah portion a couple months ago in the middle of a book of Genesis, and it's called Chaye Sarah, which means the life of Sarah. Yet the Torah portion begins with Sarah's death. Very interesting. And it says, very specific language, it says, "These are the days of the life of Sarah." And then it says 120 years and 7 years. And the Jewish sages say, why does it say these are the days of the life of Sarah? Why doesn't it just say Sarah lived to 127 years old? Because that's how it usually reads. And they answer, because Sarah filled each day. Each day mattered. She lived life to its fullest. Sarah was dynamic, engaging, and vibrant. But then the text goes even deeper. Rashi, who's a commentator on the text, says that another remarkable thing about Sarah was that no matter what was happening, she could focus on that which was good. She could see the blessing even in the difficulty. She was able to face each and every day with the challenge and with the blessing, and always, always find that which is good. She experienced difficulty, and who doesn't in life, but she lived with hope and joy. I thought of this teaching because, like Sarah, Gloria, as we've learned, lived fully every day of her life. She lived for her family, her friends, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, and there's a lot of them, and also for good food, for learning, maybe even a little gambling here and there. She persevered. She persevered. That word came up over and over again in conversations. She lost her husband way too early. And she had a few boyfriends and married again. But there was a lingering loss through which she persevered. Yet still she found joy. She found hope. And there's another similarity with our ancestor Sarah. Gloria was, as even Ashley just mentioned, the matriarch of her family. I mean, look at her descendants. I mean, it's incredible. 18 great-grandchildren I counted here. Look at all the life she sparked, and look at all the love she generated. But a matriarch is not only the oldest member of the family. I mean, that's part of the definition. But a matriarch is someone to whom everyone looks up, whom they love and they cherish, who gives them life and joy. And that was Gloria. She was also like Sarah in her convictions. Not in terms of organized religion, I noticed, although, I mean, look at her grandchildren, very involved, and children involved in Jewish life, but in terms of values. She had honesty, a fierce advocate for the underdog, not a big fan of our past president of the United States. She was active in civil rights work, Israel advocacy, politics throughout her life. She also had an eye for beauty. She bought great real estate, always looked good, and had a sparkle about her. You can even see it in the pictures, of the picture that's on the pamphlet and pictures on Facebook. You can see that beauty, that sparkle. And you can see it in her children and grandchildren. Now, I read a poem at the beginning called Birth is a Beginning. And it's about life as a journey. And we're all on a journey. And if you think about it, the truth is, through our journeys, our loved ones, Gloria here, lives on. She lives in us. She lives in the generation that follow from her and from her inspiring example. And like her, we can dig down and see the blessings amidst the difficulty of life and never fail to see the beauty and the possibility and the hope, as Gloria did. In Jewish tradition, we honor a loved one who has recently passed away with the words Zichrona Livracha. May her memory be a blessing. These words convey the purpose of a well-lived life, that those who know you, those who come after you, those who remember you, look to your life as a blessing, a benediction, and an inspiration. Being a blessing means that you have touched the lives of those you knew and that you have helped them to do the same for others. For Alan and Drora, for Barbara and Bill, for Michael and Marta, for Amy and Bennett, for Rand and Orit and Philip and Jill and Joshua and Sabrina and Gina and Susanna and Monica and Ashley and JD and their spouses and children, all the great-grandchildren, and for all those whose lives she touched and who touched hers. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May the memory of Gloria Goldblatt Gershkoff endure among us as an everlasting blessing. God, you give us loved ones, and you make them the strength of our life and the light of our eyes. They depart and leave us bereft on a lonely way, but you are the living fountain from which our healing flows. To you, the stricken look for comfort and the sorrow-laden for consolation. God, we see life is through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures and the soul endures as you, O God, endure forever. We see that the years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. They weave a timeless pattern in a world that is a dwelling place of your love and your glory. I'd ask you now, if you're comfortably able, to please rise as our cantor, Cantor O'Brien, will somehow magically, his words will come into our sanctuary as he chants the El Mole Rachamim for us.
Hey, Mole Rachamim, Shochein B'Mirami, Hamitzei Menucha Nechona, השכינה. במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמות גיטל בת חיים ומלכה שהלכו לעולמו. שנרבו צדקה בעד אזכרת נשמתה. מגן עדן תהי מנוחתו, לכן על הרחמים יסתירהו מסתר כנפה לעולמים. יצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, וינוח בשלום עמי ישכבו.
Eternal God, full of compassion, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our beloved mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, wife, friend, loved one, Gloria Goldblatt Gershkoff, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and may her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. For you, the eternal God, are her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the service here at the chapel. The interment will continue at Waldheim Cemetery and will line up in procession in a few moments. Memorial contributions in her memory to your favorite charity would be appreciated. And we want to welcome this over 60 screens that are watching today, and the family appreciates your presence here. This time I ask everyone to please rise and stand in place as we escort the casket of Mrs. Gloria Goldblatt Gershkoff from the chapel, and then you may return to your cars. For those of you going to the cemetery, we'll just line up, make sure your bright lights are on, your hazard lights are on. You put a flag on the car, and how many people are going, how many cars are going?